He's been a fantastic, huge, worldwide global success. Oh, hello there. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Strike of Midnight. I'm Dr. Stryker here, your host, here holding a precious artifact from the International Adventurers Club's archives. As you know, we have a lot of priceless gems, artifacts, antiques. And of course, this is one of those very rare, precious items that was discovered. Legend has it this may in fact be the original power sword used by none other than Prince Adam himself. Yeah, I took it out of the archives because today I'm going to be talking to you about the latest Masters of the Universe movie. But wow, this thing, what a sight to behold. I can feel the power coursing through my veins just holding it. And of course, as you all know, I'm here in the International Adventurers Club. This is the international headquarters, the main headquarters based in Singapore, of which I am, of course, president. And it's my pleasure to be able to watch over many such precious items. Now, I've also got something else exciting here. I've got new cue cards by popular demand. Much firmer, they may glide through the air better. So I'm here to talk about Masters of the Universe. Why am I talking about Masters of the Universe on a gentleman's channel where I'm supposed to be teaching men the fine art of being a gentleman? Well, because Masters of the Universe and He-Man was something that I personally believe shaped the man I am today. That's right. In fact, I think a lot of the values, core values that I learned growing up, that kind of showed me right from wrong, how to be, the pillars that ultimately allowed me to become a gentleman in my later life. Actually, I feel a lot of it I learned from the morals at the end of each episode of He-Man. Of course, I learned a lot of values from my parents, from my schools, from my peers, but I feel in those early kind of foundational years where I'm still very impressionable, the whole character, the franchise, all of them, they were so altruistic, so righteous. They're really, for a young impressionable boy where you're still learning right from wrong, it was a great way to be taught, what friendship means, what loyalty means, what is right from wrong. And those virtues and values are still, core values in my heart even now. And I feel they help to shape the gentleman that I am today. So it may seem far-fetched, but I really think that is true to be the case. So go and check He-Man, Gentlemen in Training, and stay for those end credits, because I feel they'll leave you a slightly better person than when you started. One of my earliest and fondest childhood memories was way back in the early 1980s. Yes, I've been around for quite some time. Don't let the dashing good looks and youthful visage fool you. I've got a few years behind me. And so yeah, back in the early 80s, I remember waking up on a Christmas morning to unwrap a He-Man shield and sword playset and He-Man action figures. And it cemented two things in my heart. Christmas became my most favorite time of the year, and the other was, of course, He-Man. So all these years later, now being able to watch Masters of the Universe on the big screen, it has that little boy in me that's still there, screaming for joy. Seeing it on the big screen now, I mean, I saw the Dolph Lundgren He-Man movie back in the day, and I did see it quite a few times, but come on, let's not kid ourselves, that was pretty bad. I love Dolph Lundgren, and physically he perhaps had the attributes of He-Man, but it was definitely a terrible movie. And this new movie, yes, there may be a few shortcomings, a few only, because it hits more home runs than it misses. And I've seen it now in the cinemas 3 times. So I've done my part, and I hope you guys are doing your part too to make it a success. And thankfully, it has been a tremendous success. It's been a fantastic, huge, worldwide, global success. It's been amazing. And you guys might be thinking, hang on, Dr. Stryker's lost the plot. You know, he's doing terribly at the box office. And that's where I'm coming to talk to you guys about. Because the people who are framing it as a bomb at the box office, they are traditional movie critics, traditional movie fans. But when a movie is made by Amazon, you have to see it with a slightly more kind of business-minded lens. But before we get into that, because I'm going to give you a full-on breakdown on why it is actually a success. But before we get into that, let's talk about He-Man himself, Masters of the Universe. Why did kids love it? I think as a child, just this whole idea of being able to call upon like superpowers just when you need it and become like the most powerful thing, superhero, crazy power and strength. It's just something that for kids, it just brings you to life. And so for me, like if I look at my favorite characters as a kid growing up, another similar character was the Incredible Hulk. Gets angry, gets stressed, suddenly you need to have superhuman strength and he gets it. And then He-Man was very similar. You know, you're in the time of need. He lifts aloft his magic sword, says the magic words, and suddenly he becomes the most powerful man in the universe. And everything behind it, the mythos, the iconography, the imagery, you've got this unusual fusion of medieval yet modern, futuristic lasers and spaceships. It's so unique. So it really captivated a whole generation, not just in the UK where I was from, but globally. It was an actual phenomenon. It was more successful than Barbie was back in the day. And yeah, so it was a fantastic thing. You know, what a time to be alive. And seeing it brought back to the big screen, and to catch up, I did revisit a lot of those old cartoons. And I'm quite surprised at how well it holds up today, those old cartoons. Because Transformers, another childhood favorite, when you go back and revisit the old cartoons, they don't always hold up that well. But Master of the Universe and He-Man, I don't think you'd be able to make a cartoon like that today. The way Skeletor insults people and things like that, calls Beastman Furface and things like that.
Brainless idiots! You couldn't even beat a motley group of gnomes! Get over here, you furry fool! Right, fool! You flea-bitten fur-brain! Because unlike you, Batros has a brain!
It's really quite amusing. And so, seeing on the big screen, I really love it. I think Nicholas Galitzine did a tremendous job. People say he wasn't muscular and physically big enough, but I think served the purpose. And I knew the moment I heard the casting. Like sometimes you hear the casting, you just know, okay, that casting is on point. You know, how I heard that Daniel Craig was going to be James Bond, and I knew that casting was not on point. This is the opposite. The moment they announced that Nicholas Galitzine, just seeing his profile, and I'd seen him in other movies and shows, and I thought, okay, this is going to be good. And he really put his all on the screen. And I think it's a fantastic movie, and I really can't wait to see sequels and see where this all goes. Okay, so why is this not the doom and gloom story that every other YouTube channel is reporting it to be? Why? Okay, because Amazon is not Disney, it's not Warner Brothers, it's not Universal. Those traditional movie studios, they depend heavily on theatrical revenue. You know, that's where they make most of their money. They make a movie, you know, Warner Brothers makes a movie, it has to do well at the box office in order for that movie to kind of recoup and make sense. Okay, but Amazon is very, very different. Yeah, so the worry that we see online is not coming from Amazon, it's coming from movie critics and people who are not business gurus who are looking at this in the completely wrong way. Wow, we really can throw these new cards much further. So Amazon, what is Amazon's core business? Prime subscriptions. E-commerce, the biggest e-commerce platform in the world. And for some of you, you might not know about AWS, Amazon Web Services. So anyone who is hosting a website or a platform, there are a few options available. A lot of people choose Amazon, AWS, to host their platform. This is a big facet for Amazon's revenue stream. And Prime subscriptions. So the whole way they structure their business, especially when it comes to movies and TV shows, is whether it's going to drive subscriptions, okay, whether it's going to drive engagement on their streaming platform, is it going to help them to retain subscribers, retain customers, and is it going to help generate revenue across the Amazon ecosystem? Yeah, because Amazon isn't purely a streaming service. And just think about it. Why do you think Amazon bought James Bond? Yeah, they bought the entire back catalog of James Bond. And look at Netflix. Yeah, the biggest streaming service in the world, worth about $340 billion from streaming, not from theatrical releases. They didn't release, Netflix didn't release Stranger Things in the cinema. They didn't release Chris Hemsworth's Extraction in the cinema. They have a lot of movies. They're released purely on streaming. And the movies have to be good so that people then subscribe. They get monthly payments from thousands and thousands of people around the world, crazy numbers of subscribers. So the business model, the revenue is completely different, yeah? So the idea for Masters of the Universe and He-Man is that they're going to get new subscribers. They've got this fan base, people who like He-Man. They're going to subscribe, they're going to stay subscribed, and maybe they will then trickle into Amazon's other tangential business revenue aspects like groceries, shopping, shipping. So all of this is worth far more than the price of a cinema ticket. Yeah, you pay a cinema ticket once, but when you subscribe and you stay there for that franchise, and then you discover others that you like, that becomes a monthly recurring kind of return of investment for Amazon. Okay, so what the gurus are actually saying is that the theatrical release of Masters of the Universe, that is marketing. Now, normally movie studios, Warner Brothers and whatnot, they will do advertising, they'll do marketing for the theatrical release. And of course, that's been done with Masters of the Universe, and I would add on that it's been done tremendously well. I've seen so many really cool marketing promotional collaterals that have been released for the marketing of Masters of the Universe. But nothing is going to promote the online streaming of Masters of the Universe more than the theatrical release. So the theatrical release serves as a purpose, as a tool to also promote the eventual streaming push of Masters of the Universe. So you need to see Masters of the Universe with a very different lens, through a business lens, not through the typical, oh, I'm a movie blogger, I'm a movie reviewer, I'm a movie critic. You guys may indeed be, but the way Amazon generates revenue and profit is very different to a traditional movie production studio. So think of it like an investment. Yeah, the IP is the asset, not the individual movie. Yeah, the IP meaning the intellectual property. Masters of the Universe is the asset. Yeah, they're buying decades of brand equity, global audience of Gen X and millennials. There's a 40+ year history of toy sales, and it was once the most successful toy in the world. So that is what Amazon is investing in. And then Amazon have And then Amazon have a Mattel partnership, which further extends the value chain. Yeah, toy sales. Yeah, the movie is going to help reignite toy sales. Yeah, even a modest box office performance can result in significant increase in toy sales. And that's especially valuable for Amazon, who is after all the world's largest online retailer. So it's directly going to be impacting Amazon, where there's probably going to be a lot of these toy sales. It's probably going to be one of the biggest platforms for those toy sales to take place. And I guess who's going to be laughing to the bank? Amazon is going to be laughing to the bank. So the streaming library is where the value then compounds over time. It's literally like investing. If any of you out there invest, this is what investing is. You don't invest and get immediate returns. You may do if you're very lucky, but that's what it is. People who get the biggest returns are in it for the long game. They're looking 10, 20, 30-year horizons. And Amazon, that's how they play the game. They're not going to drop $200 million on a movie without having thought this through. They've been thinking it through far deeper in 3 dimensions, 4 dimensions if you factor in time. Time is, after all, the 4th dimension, in a way that the average person posting content on YouTube has not. So all this content out there saying, oh yeah, this is doom and gloom, this is the end of Masters of the Universe. No, this is just the beginning. This, if anything, has reignited the flame. Yeah. So the box office loss is a one-time thing, but on video, on streaming, that library becomes a permanent asset. So having James Bond on Amazon's library is a permanent asset. People are going to come there and subscribe because they want to keep watching James Bond. Masters of the Universe is going to be another one of those assets in that library, driving watch hours, driving engagement metrics, justifying future subscription price increases and whatnot. So you can see this is really pretty impressive long game strategy. Yeah, the future content pipeline is where Amazon are going to be looking. Movies like this, they act as a pilot for spin-offs. It may allow for the cartoon to be reignited, and I think that's the case. I heard that there is a new cartoon coming out. Then there's going to be prequels, then there's going to be sequels, then there's going to be more movies. So you can see that the way this is going to return Amazon's investment is going to be huge. So this small blip in the box office means nothing. If anything, that en route line now to hit 100 million has probably exceeded their expectations in the first place. And don't forget, it's already far outperformed the original Masters of the Universe movie. So the old formula, because people often look at the formula that you need to get back at the box office 2.5 times the budget to break even. And this is the reason why people are seeing a $200 million budget movie thinking, oh no, it's fallen so short, it's not going to recoup, it's not going to be profitable. But that formula doesn't quite apply to Masters of the Universe, and it doesn't apply to Amazon, and it doesn't apply to Netflix. For Amazon, a more appropriate metric would be, what would it cost to license an equivalent IP-driven content, and how does this compare to subscriber lifetime value generated? This is how Amazon is going to be looking at this. And they've already said, we've looked at it, we're happy with it, this is exactly as we planned. And that's why the smart boys at Amazon are the smart boys at Amazon. So for me, I'm very happy because it means I'm going to get to see a lot more Masters of the Universe, going to get to rekindle all that youthful nostalgic joy that I've enjoyed watching this fantastic movie at the cinema. And of course, I hope you guys have all been enjoying it too. It's been a great movie, it's been a great ride, and I'm very excited for the future of Masters of the Universe. And with that, I hope you've enjoyed a slightly more methodological breakdown, a slightly more business-oriented breakdown of why Masters of the Universe has actually done well and why we can all be excited for future movies and sequels. And of course, I do want to touch on like people going to watch Scary Movie 15 or whatever it is. That is quite baffling. But, you know, I'm here to teach you guys that not everyone has class and style. But you guys are going to be watching Masters of the Universe because you guys do. So with that, we're going to end this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you do, you know what you need to do. You need to like, subscribe, follow, stay tuned for more episodes of The Strike of Midnight. And yes, I have the power. Take care and good night.
It's a good thing Orko got my sword back today, or Prince Adam might never have been seen again. The rock man who took my sword thought it made him a leader, but he was wrong. A sword or any other symbol doesn't make a person a good leader. What does is intelligence, respect for others, and an unselfish desire to do good. People are proud of a leader with those qualities, so if you develop them in yourself, you could become a good leader too. See you soon.
I have the power! No? Okay. It was worth a try.